Welcome to Family Room Reflections, Jim's Personal Stories. Hi, I'm Jim Meyer. I'm the author of Faith of Our Lives. I'm a retired ELCA Lutheran pastor, and I'd like to tell you a little bit about how I started Faith of Our Lives. It all started in 1979. Actually, it started during prayer in 1979. I was praying for guidance and direction in my life. While praying, suddenly other words came to my mind. Teach my older children to teach my younger children what life is about. Well, I was thinking, how am I going to do that? Then it was like a brick hit me in the head, and the wee small voice said, I've invested much time in you in the theater, teaching you the theater arts, the art of communication, and storytelling. You've been an actor, a producer, a director. Use your gifts. Okay, a light went on, and the History of Our Lives Theater was formed. Recruiting 8 cast members, mostly in their 70s, from the Senior Citizen Center and nursing homes, we studied the historical events of each one's life. Taking the best stories, they were put into script form, where the irony of the story brought out the humor. Learning stage dynamics and theater arts, they learned to tell their stories and to use characterization to put on short one-act plays where 2 or more are telling the same story. And this they performed before live audiences. In its 7 years history, we performed some 400 times in 3 states. Our original cast disbanded after 7 years because they were getting much older and they couldn't go on. The Evangelical Lutheran Good Samaritan Society contracted me to start Thule in their care centers. We started casts in 12 different nursing homes in a 4-state area, spending 3 months at each one. Each cast did their own history gathering while I wrote up the scripts, all along teaching them how to write their own scripts. They learned the plays and storytellings, and each cast was able to perform twice before I left the center for good. They had prospects of doing other performances in schools and churches and wherever they wanted to go in their communities. Here are a few kudos from the care centers. I had more fun putting that on than anything in the last 60 years, said Harry Damon, resident of George Good Samaritan Society in George, Iowa. That was in 1980. I would like to extend a very special thank you. The enthusiasm that you generated among residents and staff is surely to be commended. I was very impressed with the involvement of certain residents. So said Robin Johnson, Administrator, Kelliher Good Samaritan Center, Kelliher, Minnesota. The results have been tremendous. The residents and volunteers now have eager attitudes and practice the various plays on their own. We've given several performances and more scheduled locally. A fresh new idea, and I would heartily endorse it, the History of Our Lives, for other centers, said Leonard Bud Witt, Administrator, Howard Good Samaritan Center, Howard, South Dakota. The children really get into the times of yesterday. Our residents felt a sense of accomplishment when they performed for them. It was a chance for them to give of themselves, to feel independent again. Ruby Westman said this. She's the activity coordinator for Hastings Good Samaritan Village, Hastings, Nebraska. Working with Thule, the History of Our Lives Theater, has been a wonderful experience in my life. It is highlighted up there, like with the time that I traveled with a professional repertory theater group called the Covenant Players, traveling with them for 10 years, performing throughout the United States, Canada, and Europe some 8,000 times. It's up there, like with getting my master's degree and becoming a pastor and a chaplain, where I enjoyed the work immensely. The ministry and the mandate of teach my younger children what life is about still goes on. no longer only as a stage production, but also as an avenue to revisit our faith stories as faith of our lives. Each story tells of experiences of life, as does Scripture relate to all of life. These relate to the bigger picture. As we hear the story, we participate on different levels within ourselves through identification and glean the wisdom of the experience. These experiences of life, they span the generations. You may not ride your horse to town for provisions, but you still need provisions. And you still pick them up, but perhaps with some other form of transportation. Since hearing the stories of faith of our lives, I have become rich with legacy and enjoyed the imagination and faith that have built our country.